This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
Kind of nervous when I take tests.
I've got 4 skin jobs walking the street.
They're either a benefit or a hazard. If they're a benefit, it's not my problem.
I'm Rachel.
Deckard.
Have you ever retired a human by mistake?
No.
I need the old Blade Runner. This is a bad one.
How can it not know what it is?
If only you could see what I've seen.
More human than human is our motto.
What if I go north? Disappear? Would you come after me?
No, you wouldn't. But somebody would.
It's too bad she won't live. I can see you.
Time to die.
Will you help us?
What seems to be the problem?
Death.
I want more life. An experiment. Nothing more. More human than human is our motto.
We mixed, we loaded, we edited.
Sometimes we get so deep into conversation that we have separate segments worthy of their own place in the sun.
Here is a reshuffled mini episode.
Mike, what would you say is your intro to all things futuristic?
I saw Blade Runner in its initial release.
Oh, when it was the infamous movie of the year.
Yeah, 82. And then I believe I saw the 10-year anniversary when they added, 20 seconds of extra foot. It took out Ford's narration.
Yeah, which one was the cut with the narration?
I think it was the initial special edition.
Yeah.
That was a theatrical, yeah.
That was definitely the first version I saw.
How many?
5 different versions.
5 different versions.
Yep.
I don't know, something like that.
6 if you want to count the TV. But we're not counting that.
Well, this is the final cut, so I think it includes the European stuff and the no narration.
Yeah, so technically 5, but really free. Yeah.
I gotta say, I kind of like the narration in the theatrical version.
I didn't mind it growing up, but I can see why on initial viewing. It's kind of like ADR. You don't really notice it unless you are listening for it. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna notice that someone's revoicing the character in the booth unless you. It's kind of like when you're looking for a boom mic or, a blooper. Like,
well, I thought it added to the, 30-ish sci-fi film noir.
It is definitely what made me a fan of detective stuff, and that's the irony. Yeah. It took a futuristic movie.
But I read Blade Runner in high school, so we're talking about the 90s, around the time that the 92 VHS edition comes out, where they wipe out the narration and put in the unicorn. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to read the book. So I checked it out from my local library and read it in Albuquerque during Christmas. And I was like, whoa. And the book takes place in 92, and anyway. But it's funny, Philip K. Dick, it's like his relationship with Hollywood. In some ways, they took his core idea, especially Minority Report. Minority Report's a much better movie. Has Tom Cruise, of course,
I got introduced to Blade Runner for the director's cut that came in the 90s because it was letterbox. And I'd never heard of letterbox before because in old days, all movies were just like pan scan. They're always just like fill up your TV screen. So when I saw the VHS, it says special letterbox edition, Blade Runner, director's cut. I read the movie, put it in, and I've never seen a movie displayed with the black bars on the top and bottom of this.
It's
That
so
shit was so
atmospheric.
annoying.
And I was like,
You don't like it?
It was
No.
so different to see a movie that way because I'm so used to seeing movies being framed to fit my whole TV.
I
And
think
I thought,
Star
why are
Wars
there
was the
bars on the top and
first.
bottom of my TV? So I had to like research it, and all movies were shot in a 2x3.5, and TV screens are 1x3.3, and it's the first time I've ever learned about aspect ratios and
Yes, it was
that was-
illuminating.
But I just became in love with Blade Runner. I didn't understand it because I watched it when I was like 13 years old. But
That'll do it. Yeah.
the visuals of it really captivated me. And
But you wanted to
then
go back to it. It makes sense.
I had to go and read the book the next year. So I read the book, and I know I've read the book a couple more times. And I like the fact that the book is very different from the movie, but still holds all the same core ideas to it.
Mhm.
And yeah, the character of Deckard is different. The people that he fights are different. There's a sequence in the book where he gets arrested and he starts to question if he's a replicant or not because these people that arrested him are saying, no, you're a replicant. These things you're killing innocent people. And he starts to do a test on himself and all these other things. It's just
So in a way,
bizarre.
I guess.
It was picked up for 2049 future.
Yes, that's true. Very true. He did take the plot
Good
of that
call.
at the 2049. Very
I
good.
feel like some of those go into Recall also a little bit, just a little bit, not
Yeah.
all, but just that whole mistaken identity thing. You know?
Now, remind me, the
Blade Runner
book
is
is
way
called.
more ambiguous than
The
Total
android's dream of electric
Recall.
sheep.
It's very obvious what's
Yeah.
happening.
Sorry, Gil.
It's very ambiguous.
Yeah, you're asking. Go. Sorry.
Oh, he
So-
answered it for me. It's when
Yeah.
do
Oh.
androids dream of
Dream of
electric
electric
sheep?
Yeah,
I didn't
And-
know if it was like loosely based because I never read the book.
it definitely.
It,
Mostly,
it feels like it's inspired by. Like I'm sure
Right.
the filmmakers.
Yeah,
the
I always
filmmakers-
just assume when a book's adapted, it's just maybe
much
cool.
like Altered Carbon,
It's almost like-
two different vehicles, two different animals. You know, it's
they
apples and
read like the cliff notes of that book, and they were like, "All right, guys, fighting replicants. He's hunting replicants. Let's just focus on that." There are elements of the book. There's like this religion called like Mercer, where people log into this machine. Where
Yes.
they can download
it's their web
moods,
browser basically.
and they can download their moods, what they want their moods to be. But then this religion, there's this guy called Mercer, and he's
I
walking
got
up this
uploaded in the
hill,
future.
and he keeps getting hit pelted with like rocks. And you dive into this machine, you're supposed to feel like he does, like getting hit by these rocks and whatnot, but you're feeling the praise of other people, and it's supposed to connect you with all these individuals. It's supposed to feel like one in each other, and that element was taken out of the movie.
Would have been too
Yeah,
much, I
obvious
guess.
reasons.
How do you put that in the visual? Like, how do you even portray
How
that?
do I storyboard that?
Yeah, like
I would love to see someone try, but I have no idea how to do it.
it started off with the whole VHS thing. People started talking about changing tapes over, and then it started to get more
Yep.
midnight showings. And then somebody found the original like work print version of the
That's
movie,
right. Yeah.
and they released that. And Warner Brothers were like, "Hey, this is some traction here. Let's get Ridley Scott involved, and we'll call it the director's cut." Even though he did not have any say or what
Oh, that's
happens to
right.
that
I
version.
forgot about that.
So they released it as the director's cut, even though it wasn't the official director's cut. And it was like probably one of the first like DVDs to be put out to DVDs when that system
Yeah.
came out, along with like Twister.
And it was cryptic,
and-
dude. I would see people just vaguely reference it after seeing it initially. I'm like, I better go back and rewatch it and see what they're referencing exactly. What scene, what line of dialogue. You know, that's how cryptic it was for just
Yeah.
one movie. You know?
And then, based on that screening of the director's cut, that got to be more and more people got to see it and talk about it. And then it was in 2007 when it finally got the final cut, and Ridley Scott was able to go in there, and he was able to get Joanna Cassidy to come back and redo her scenes, because there's a big scene where Deckard is shooting at her character, and it's a stunt double, and they had to redo that sequence and put her face in there so it doesn't look all. It looks like actually her in that scene. So,
Gotcha.
and I found that to be
I don't think that's the only one I've ever seen.
See, I've seen all 5 versions of the movie. I did not
kind of
mind
like
the narration.
the T2 3D cut. They looked at all the movie blooper sites and they're like, okay, we're doing away with that. That will no longer be an existing complaint.
I may be the only one that actually likes the narration in the theatrical cuts.
Gil flooded.
The narration, I've only heard clips, and Harrison Ford seems so just phoning it.
He hated it. He did not want to do it at all.
Don't want to watch it because
I don't
that's just
blame.
funny.
I don't blame them for doing it. It's just narration is often frowned upon.
Harrison Ford hates doing anything ever. Like,
well,
so
I know that. It's just
that's rarity.
I'm gonna validate you all. I mean, it's often frowned upon because it can be viewed as kind of a lazy writing device, but it's not. I get why they did that. They just felt they just had to do a little something.
It was meant to just that was an appeasement to the masses, right? I mean,
I think so.
The studio wanted it in there.
Dumb to understand what's going on. We gotta just force feed it to them. But no,
I think they were trying to just enhance the film noir feel for it. It's like this old Raymond Chandler type of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I like that aspect of it. I just wish that dialogue was written a little bit better for their narration. So I liked when the work print cut, there is not as much narration in the work print cut, though I have like one bit of dialogue from Deckard at the end when Roy Batty gives his Tears in the Rain speech.
Oh, that's right.
There's a
Funko Pop
bit of dialogue that Deckard says at the end of that actually works great.
Can you believe that was all improvised? Can you imagine what a different movie that would have been? He just beats him up and he just dies after sitting there. That would have been like, okay.
Funny.
He would have felt he would have felt a little anticlimactic, and he just Rutger Hauer.
So what was the actual part of the script then? If that was,
to my knowledge, like he was just supposed to die after a fight, and the only stuff I have is Rutger Hauer's autobiography, which was published years before he unfortunately left us. But I was just like, man, what a dedicated man! What a cool talent. So what is the ultimate cut? Is it the original or the final?
Oh,
it's the final cut. I think
the only one I've seen.
But I still go back and forth because I'll tell you this really quickly.
I love
though,
variations of all
because I've watched the video game because I can't afford to actually play the video game, but I've watched the video game. So, and I liked watching the theatrical versions because it got the narration, and so does the sequel. So, if I want to watch the Blade Runner video game, I'll watch the theatrical version of Blade Runner because it gets me into that mode of the narration. So, the Blade Runner video game is a great sequel to the Blade Runner theatrical cuts. But if I'm watching Blade Runner 2049, I gotta watch Blade Runner the final cuts first. Or I watch 2049. Because in that version, Deckard is a replicant, and I was thought in the theatrical version,
the Ridley Scott-esque version. And it is wild how Ridley Scott opened up the whole.
Ford says he's a replicant, or at least Scott.
No.
Right?
Ford doesn't think he's a replicant. He and screenwriter David Webb Peebles were like, he's a human, who has a robotic hand, and Scott. And so this is what's funny. Both of them are right, because if you squint, you can see the red eye that Deckard has in the final scene. But at the same time,
everyone's right, no one's right because it's ambiguous.
Much like David Lynch,
Well, he didn't explain.
Why we're all right now? That's why everyone is so obsessed with this shit.
I love it.
Before we had clickbait articles ruining movies for us,
you can make a coherent argument for every side.
Sorry, go. You're gonna say.
I was just gonna say he didn't display the strength of a replicant. That's for sure.
I think other than his hand where he's on the cliff, that's about it.
Deckard is a terrible shot sometimes too. Yes, he gets some shots good here, but other times he does not know how to fight.
So he's like Data on Star Trek before he gets his emotion chip.
Maybe so.
He's like every other person on Westworld before they find out, oh, I'm also an android. Whoops.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win. On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast wrecks and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in, it's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Better Call Daddy Show, the #1 podcast where we admit, no matter what happens, Daddy has the advice we need to fix our problems.
Introducing my dad, Mr. Wayne Friedman.
That was good. It would be nice if you could also sing a song.
What would the song be?
You love Paris in the springtime. I just made up some words to it.
I love Rena in the springtime. I love Rena in the fall.
That's right. That's good enough.
What I do is interview people of interest, share it with my dad, and get my dad's advice. My dad is my hero. Nobody's got my daddy.
Oh boy, let's go to Grandpa.
If you like to be a little rebel, I tried to rein you in. I have a daughter named Rena that acts just like I did. She's got a son that is not only just like me, but it's just like her.
I'm your host, Rena Friedman Watts.
Invite your friends, subscribe, and I'm excited to take this journey with you.
Let's dive in.
She was teasing this guy with this sword, and she accidentally cut his dick.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
And then he started to enjoy it.
I started going down the phone sex rabbit hole. You've got the wankers, and they jerk off in 5 seconds, and then they're done because A, they don't want to spend money, and B, they're quick.
My stepfather had mania. If I'm yelling at one of my kids, that fear, that rigid fear.
Mom even said to me, I hope you have a kid just like you.
There are lots of people that are being bought and sold right now for profit.
If you think you're going to kill yourself, shut up and kill yourself. If you're not going to kill yourself, then shut up, smarten up, and it's all on you. The bullshit has to end.
Wow.
When I was 11 years old, I was raped and molested over the course of a year.
What Jeffrey Epstein had was a sickness inside of him.
I am Evan Castrilli Carmichael. I could do anything that I believe that I can.
I'm so excited too. Let's go.
Next on Better Call Daddy with my mom and my grandpa.
Stay tuned.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up